rift opened at 11:47 p.m. above Crime Alley, a wound in reality that bled crimson light across rain-slicked pavement. No portal, no warning, just a sudden tear in the fabric of existence. And then he was falling. Red coat billowing, orange sunglasses reflecting streetlights, a smile that promised violence. Alucard hit the ground with enough force to crater the asphalt. He stood slowly, brushing imaginary dust from his coat, and inhaled deeply. The air tasted different here, heavier with desperation, richer with fear, seasoned with decades of accumulated trauma. Gotham's particular breed of suffering had a bouquet all its own. Well, 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 he purred, his voice carrying that distinctive blend of aristocratic menace and barely contained glee. This isn't London. This isn't even the right fucking universe. He adjusted his glasses, crimson eyes scanning the unfamiliar skyline. Integra is going to be so mad I skipped out on paperwork night. A scream echoed from deeper in the alley. Alucard's smile widened. Oh good, entertainment. He found them 3 buildings over, 4 men surrounding a woman, knives glinting, that particular predatory confidence that came from years of getting away with it. Gotham's usual Tuesday night fare. The woman's back pressed against the wall, purse already on the ground, tears streaming down her face. Gentlemen, Alucard announced, materializing from the shadows like smoke given form. I'm afraid I'm terribly lost. Could one of you direct me to the nearest? He paused, tilting his head. Actually, what year is it? What universe is this? Do you have smartphones here? Netflix? Please tell me you have Netflix. The lead mugger, a scarred man with a face that screamed middle management in Gotham's criminal underworld, turned his knife toward the newcomer. The fuck are you supposed to be? Halloween was last month. Oh, I like him, Alucard said to no one in particular. He's got that perfect combination of confidence and stupidity. It's like watching a lemming give a TED talk about cliff diving. He took a step forward, and something in his movement made all 4 men tense. Predators recognizing apex predator. But to answer your question, I'm a fuck-mothering vampire. I've killed a lot of people to get that title. I deserve to be called such. The knife came at him fast. Gotham Street Fighter fast, the kind of speed that came from 100 muggings. Alucard didn't dodge. The blade punched through his skull right between the eyes and stopped. There was a moment of perfect silence. Huh, Alucard said conversationally, the knife still embedded in his forehead. That actually stung a little. Different universe, different something. Physics, metaphysics, I'll figure it out. He reached up and pulled the knife free with a wet sound. The wound sealed instantly, flesh knitting together like it had never been broken. My turn. What happened next lasted 6 seconds. When it was over, the woman was gone, fled screaming into the night, which was fair. The 4 men were, well, calling them men was generous. Alucard stood in the center of the carnage, licking blood from his fingers, coat somehow spotless despite the arterial spray decorating the walls. Disappointing, he sighed. Not even a warm-up. I miss Walter. He'd have made this interesting. He noticed the blood under his fingernails and tisked. And now I'm going to need a manicure. Do they have manicures here? Please tell me immortality doesn't mean I have to file my own nails across multiple dimensions. High above, on a gargoyle that would give OSHA inspectors nightmares, something moved. Alucard's head snapped up, eyes gleaming. Oh. There's someone watching. Someone good at watching. Someone who thinks they're in control. His grin became something that wasn't quite human. Come out, wherever you are. I promise I'll only bite a little." The figure dropped, cape spreading like wings, impact silent, despite the 3-story fall. Batman emerged from the shadows the way he always did. Like Gotham's darkness had simply chosen to coalesce into human form. They stood 20 feet apart, the Dark Knight and the No-Life King. Rain fell between them. "You're under arrest," Batman said, voice like gravel and iron will. "Gotham City Police Department will..." "Ha ha 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 ha!" Alucard's laugh cut through the night like broken glass. "Oh my God, you're serious. You actually think." He wiped tears from his eyes. Sorry, it's just been so long since someone tried to arrest me. Usually they just scream or cry or beg." He composed himself, still grinning. "Let me guess. Dark and brooding type? Tragic backstory? Parents die? Swore vengeance? Am I close?" Batman's jaw tightened. "Who are you?" "Alucard. No, not backwards, before you ask. Yes, I know, very creative parents. And you are? You just killed 4 men." Yes, I did." Alucard examined his nails again. "They were going to rape and murder that woman, so really, I saved you some paperwork. You're welcome. Unless..." His eyes gleamed with sudden interest. "Unless you're one of those heroes who doesn't kill." "Oh, please tell me you're one of those. Those are my favorite." Batman's hand moved to his utility belt. Alucard's eyes tracked the movement with predatory focus. "This is your only warning," Batman said. "Leave Gotham, now, or I'll make you leave." The smile that spread across Alucard's face was the stuff of nightmares, all teeth and ancient hunger and something worse than madness. It was joy. Pure, undiluted, terrible joy. "Oh, Batsy," he purred. "You have no idea how long I've waited for someone to say that and actually mean it." He vanished. Batman's eyes widened. Decades of training and superhuman perception barely registered the movement before Alucard was there. Inches from his face, breath cold and smelling of blood, and something older than civilization. "So please," Alucard whispered, "try. If you want to see more crossover battles and unexpected universe collisions, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and universe you'd want to see in the comments below. Let's explore the infinite together." The Batcomputer would later register the encounter as lasting 17 minutes. Batman would deploy smoke pellets, explosive gel, electric shock batarangs, flashbangs, tear gas, and 3 different contingency plans designed for supernatural threats. None of it would work. And somewhere in the back of his mind, for the first time in years, Bruce Wayne felt something he'd almost forgotten: uncertainty. Above Crime Alley, the dimensional rift finally sealed shut, leaving only questions in its wake. The smoke cleared to reveal Alucard standing exactly where he'd been, coat not even singed. That infuriating smile still plastered across his face. The explosive batarangs had detonated against his chest. Batman had seen the impacts, watched flesh tear and bone shatter. Now there wasn't even a scratch. "That tickled," Alucard said, brushing ash from his shoulder. "Do it again. I'm starting to feel something. Is it arousal?" It might be arousal. Batman's mind raced through possibilities. Regenerator. Meta-human. No, the energy signature was wrong. Magic. The way he'd reformed suggested something beyond standard healing factors. Cellular, mystical, something else entirely. "Analysis complete," came Oracle's voice in his cowl. "Bruce, his cellular structure is... it's not reading as matter. It's like he's phased slightly out of reality. I'm getting quantum signatures that shouldn't exist in biological organisms." "That's because I'm dead, darling," Alucard called out cheerfully, somehow hearing the private communication. Very, very dead. Have been for about 500 years, give or take a few decades. Lost count after the first century. Time gets weird when you're immortal. He tilted his head, studying Batman with the focus of a predator analyzing prey. But you already figured that out, didn't you? Those wonderful toys of yours told you I'm not human, not anymore, not for a very long time. Batman shifted his stance, calculating. Supernatural entity. Vampire based on the pale skin, red eyes, and casual mention of being dead. But vampire lore varied. Some burned in sunlight, others didn't. Some needed invitation, others didn't. Weaknesses included silver, garlic, wooden stakes, holy water, decapitation. "Oh, you're planning," Alucard interrupted, taking a step forward. "I can see it in your eyes. Running through your little list of vampire weaknesses, aren't you? Let me save you some time." He started counting on his fingers. Sunlight? Annoying, but non-fatal. Holy water? Blessed bullets? Been shot with both, still here. Silver? Please, I'm not a werewolf. Stake through the heart? He tapped his chest. You're welcome to try. But I've been impaled with everything from blessed spears to telephone poles, and I've always gotten back up. Everything has a weakness, Batman growled. Oh, I love that optimism. It's adorable. Alucard's grin widened impossibly. Tell you what, Batsy, because I'm in a good mood, and because you've got spectacular toys, I'll give you a freebie. My weakness is... He leaned in conspiratorially. I don't have one. Not anymore. Not since I ate a Nazi catboy who could exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Long story. Very weird. There was a war, some religious zealots, a bit of accidental omnipresence. You had to be there. He was lying, or insane, or telling the truth. Batman's detector couldn't tell which, and that was more concerning than anything else tonight. Last chance, Batman said, deploying the contingency he'd hoped not to use. His gauntlet activated, and a high-frequency pulse designed to disrupt mystical energy matrices flooded the alley. It had worked on Gentleman Ghost, on Deadman, on every incorporeal entity he'd encountered. Alucard yawned. Bruce, it's not working. Oracle's voice was tight with concern. The energy is passing through him, but it's not dispersing him. It's like he's solid and not solid at the same time. This doesn't make sense. Quantum superposition, Alucard explained helpfully. I exist in all possible states until observed, and even then, I exist in whichever state I choose. Schrodinger's vampire, if you will. I'm here, I'm not here, I'm behind you. He was suddenly at Batman's back, voice directly in his ear. I'm everywhere and nowhere, and the best part? You can't plan for that. Can't make a contingency for something that breaks causality. Batman spun, cape whipping out to create distance. His heart rate hadn't increased. Decades of training kept it steady. But his mind was recalculating everything. This wasn't a standard threat. This was something that operated outside conventional rules. You're analyzing, Alucard observed, circling like a shark. Thinking about how to contain me, trap me, maybe call in your super friends. That's adorable. But here's what you're not considering. I don't want to fight you, Batsy. Well, he reconsidered. I do want to fight you, but not yet. First, I want to understand where the fuck I am and how I got here. This isn't my universe. Your world's metaphysics are all wrong. Different frequencies, different rules. Same blood, though. He inhaled deeply. Fear, desperation, trauma layered over decades. This city is delicious. You're not staying in Gotham, Batman said. Oh, I'm definitely staying in Gotham, at least until I figure out what's going on, maybe longer. This place has character. Alucard gestured to the crime scene behind him. I've been to London, Romania, Brazil, Poland, every blood-soaked corner of my earth. But this city is special. It's like if depression and violence had an architecturally questionable baby. A batarang flew. Alucard caught it between two fingers without looking. Rude. 3 more followed, each from different angles, each designed to converge on a single point. Batman moved simultaneously, grappling up and deploying a net made of reinforced polymer threads designed to restrain metahumans. Alucard stood still and let it happen. The net wrapped around him. The batarang struck home, 1 in the throat, 2 in the chest, all placed with surgical precision to sever major arteries, even in enhanced organisms. "There," Alucard said calmly, blood pouring from his wounds. "Feel better? Got that out of your system?" The wound sealed. The net fell away as his body phased through it. Because if we're done with foreplay, I have questions. Starting with, who runs this city? Who's in charge? And most importantly, his eyes gleamed with unholy interest. Who's the strongest thing here? Because I didn't cross dimensions just to fight muggers and men in bat costumes. No offense. "Every offense taken," Batman said. But he was thinking. This entity could regenerate from anything, could phase through physical restraints, could somehow hear Oracle's communications. Standard protocols weren't working. He needed time, information, and backup. "Calling for help?" Alucard asked, once again hearing things he shouldn't. Telepathy, by the way. Side benefit of drinking a few thousand people. You pick up skills, and right now, your brain is screaming plans at me. Very organized, very thorough, very pointless. Batman triggered the silent alarm to the Watchtower. "Ooh, secret alert to secret friends. This is getting interesting." Alucard's smile became something predatory. "How many friends do you have, Batsy? Strong ones, fast ones, magic ones?" Because I'm very curious about this world's power structure. Back home, I was the biggest monster in the room. Here? He spread his arms. I have no idea where I rank. And that, my brooding friend, is the first interesting thing to happen to me in decades. Thunder rumbled overhead. The rain intensified. "Here's what's going to happen," Alucard said, suddenly all business. "You're going to stop throwing toys at me. I'm going to stop mocking your obviously tragic backstory. And we're going to have a conversation about this universe, its rules, and who I need to meet to get some actual entertainment. Because if I don't get answers..." His eyes flashed, and for a moment, Batman saw something behind them. Millions of screaming faces, an ocean of absorbed souls, power that made the alley feel small and insignificant. "I'll find them myself, and my research methods are very hands-on." In the distance, a sonic boom announced incoming company. Alucard's head snapped toward the sound, eyes widening with delight. Oh, that's not a plane. That's something biological moving at supersonic speeds." His grin returned, wider than ever. "Please tell me you have aliens here. Please tell me you have gods. Tell me this universe has something worth fighting." High above, Superman descended through the clouds, heat vision ready, cape billowing in his wake. And for the first time since arriving in this strange new world, Alucard felt that old familiar tingle, the one he'd chased through centuries, the one that made immortality bearable. Possibility. Superman landed between Batman and the stranger with enough controlled force to crack the pavement. A deliberate show of power. The Man of Steel straightened to his full height, cape settling around his shoulders, the red and blue of his suit a stark contrast to Gotham's perpetual gloom. "Batman," Superman said, eyes never leaving Alucard. "Oracle sent an emergency signal. What's the situation?" "Hostile entity," Batman replied. regenerative abilities, possible telepathy, quantum state physiology, civilian casualties. Recommend extreme caution. Civilian casualties? Alucard laughed. Those weren't civilians, Batsy. Those were rapists who got upgraded to corpses. I'd argue I improved their social standing. He turned his full attention to Superman, and his smile became something luminous with anticipation. But you're not human either, are you? Oh, this is delicious. What are you? Vampire? No, you smell wrong. Alien? Mutant? Genetically engineered demigod? Superman's eyes narrowed. I'm Superman, and you need to stand down. Superman, Alucard repeated, tasting the word. How wonderfully unsubtle. Do you have a civilian identity named Clark Kent? Human man, by any chance? He took a step closer, and Superman's muscles tensed. Let me guess. You're the Boy Scout, the hope and justice type. Probably have a lovely speech about redemption and second chances prepared. Am I close? This doesn't have to end in violence, Superman said, adopting his diplomat voice. We can help you. Whatever you are, wherever you're from. I'm a vampire, Alucard interrupted cheerfully. From another dimension. I eat people. I've killed approximately 3,427,643 humans and counting, lost exact track after World War II, busy decade, and I'm functionally unkillable due to quantum omnipresence granted by absorbing a Nazi's soul. He spread his arms. There, full disclosure. Now, how about you tell me what you are, because I'm getting some very interesting readings off you. Your heart beats differently. Your cellular structure is... He inhaled deeply. Not human. Definitely not human. You're strong. The last word came out like a prayer. Superman exchanged a glance with Batman. The Dark Knight's expression said everything. This one's different, dangerous, maybe beyond us. I'm Kryptonian, Superman said carefully. Last son of a planet called Krypton. I use my abilities to protect Earth. Kryptonian, Alucard breathed. Alien physiology, solar-powered, based on the way you're absorbing ambient radiation. Super strength, super speed, probably invulnerability, flight. His eyes gleamed. Can you die? Have you ever actually been hurt by anything in this adorable little city? That's not your concern. Oh, but it is, Alucard purred. Because I've spent 500 years looking for someone who could actually threaten me. Fight me, challenge me, and you... He pointed at Superman, with barely contained excitement. You might actually be able to do it. Not kill me, obviously. That ship sailed when I became quantum. But hurt me. Make me work for it? Oh, Clark. Can I call you Clark? I feel like we're going to become very close. You might be exactly what I need. I'm not fighting you, Superman said firmly. If you're willing to talk, we can find a solution that doesn't involve violence. Alucard's face fell. Oh no. You're one of those. The no-kill rule types, both of you. He looked between Superman and Batman in genuine dismay. This universe is full of powerful beings who refuse to actually kill anything, isn't it? It's like finding a 5-star restaurant that only serves salad. We protect life, Superman said. All life. Even yours if you'd let us. I don't want to be protected, you magnificent Boy Scout. I want to fight. I want someone strong enough to make me feel something other than boredom. Alucard's voice took on a manic edge. Do you have any idea what it's like? 500 years of immortality? 50 years of being literally unkillable. I've fought priests, vampires, werewolves, Nazis, crusaders, zealots, and a very angry Catholic vampire hunter who made things interesting for about a decade. But they all died. They all eventually lost, and I'm still here, and I'm so fucking bored. Superman's expression softened slightly. Then maybe violence isn't the answer. Maybe... Alucard moved. One moment he was standing 20 feet away. The next, he was in Superman's face, having crossed the distance in less than a blink. Superman reacted instantly. Super speed perception kicked in, and he threw a punch that could shatter mountains. Alucard caught it. The shockwave from the collision blew out windows 3 blocks away. Batman's cape whipped violently from the pressure wave. The pavement beneath him spiderwebbed into fractals. For a moment, both combatants stood frozen, Superman's fist in Alucard's palm, Alucard's grin widening impossibly. "Oh my God," Alucard whispered reverently. "You're actually strong. You weren't exaggerating. That punch, that beautiful punch." He started laughing, a sound of pure, unhinged joy. "Do it again." Superman pulled back and struck again, this time with both fists, a combination that had stopped Darkseid's soldiers. Alucard tanked the first hit, letting it cave in his chest cavity. The second hit tore his head clean off. The body stood there, headless, for exactly 2 seconds. Then shadows erupted from the neck stump. Eyes materialized in the darkness, dozens of them, hundreds, all red and gleaming and wrong. The shadows coalesced, reformed, and Alucard's head reconstructed itself from pure darkness, expression ecstatic. Yes! Oh fuck yes, that hurt. That actually hurt. He grabbed Superman by the shoulders like they were old friends. "Again! Hit me again! Laser eyes! Ice breath! Throw me into space! I want to see what you can do!" "Stand down," Superman said, voice harder now. He was flying backward, creating distance, reassessing. "I don't want to hurt you. That's the problem. I want you to hurt me. It's been so long." Alucard's form started to shift, shadows bleeding from his coat. "Last time someone actually damaged me was when I let a magic vampire hunter blow my brains out. Before that, World War II. Do you know how dull peacetime is for someone like me?" Batman's voice came through Superman's JLA communicator. "Clark, he's not human. Not even close. My scans show his entire body exists in quantum flux. He's telling the truth about being unkillable." "Everyone has a weakness," Superman said, but even he sounded uncertain. "Not anymore," Alucard shouted gleefully. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. Schrodinger's vampire, remember? I exist and don't exist simultaneously. I'm here because I choose to be here. You can scatter my molecules across the solar system, and I'll just think myself back together. It's very convenient and extremely boring until someone like you comes along." Superman's eyes began to glow red. "Last warning. Power down. Come peacefully. We'll find a way to help you." "Help me? Help me?" Alucard doubled over, laughing. "Oh, Clark. Sweet, naive, powerful Clark. I don't need help. I need a challenge. I need you to stop holding back and actually try." His eyes locked onto Superman's, and something ancient and terrible looked out from behind them. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to fight me. Really fight me. No holding back, no mercy, no Boy Scout routine. And if you don't..." Shadows exploded from his form, and suddenly there were a dozen Alucards surrounding Superman. "I'll start testing my new powers on this city until you take me seriously." Superman moved faster than sound, destroying all 12 copies in a blur of heat vision and precision strikes. Alucard reformed from shadows 30 feet away, applauding slowly. Good, you're fast, but are you fast enough to save everyone?" He gestured, and shadows began creeping along the ground, spreading toward nearby buildings. "I can be everywhere at once now, remember? How many people can you save if I'm attacking on every street corner simultaneously?" "You won't," Superman said, but there was doubt in his voice. "Won't I?" I'm a monster, Clark. A self-admitted, unrepentant 3 million kills monster. The only reason I haven't started already is because you're interesting. But if you keep trying to talk me down like I'm some misunderstood villain having a bad day, the shadows expanded. I'll get bored. And when I get bored, people die. Lots of people. Batman's voice was urgent in Superman's ear. He's not bluffing. Psychological profiles suggest severe boredom-driven psychopathy. He'll do it just to see what happens. Superman's jaw tightened. The weight of the choice pressed down on him. Fight a creature that claimed to be unkillable, potentially causing catastrophic, collateral damage, or let it rampage until it got bored. Neither option was good. I'll fight you, Superman said finally. But not here, not in the city. Alucard's grin returned to merely psychotic levels. Oh, now we're talking. Where? The Arctic? The moon? Ooh, can we fight in space? I've never fought in space. Do I need to breathe? Let's find out. The Arctic, Superman said. Empty, isolated, no civilians. Deal. Alucard clapped his hands together. Oh, this is going to be wonderful. I'm actually excited. Do you know how rare that is? When you've lived as long as I have, excitement becomes this mythical thing you've heard about, but never experienced, like happiness or proper work-life balance. He started to dissolve into shadows, but paused. Oh, and Batsy? He looked at the dark night, still standing in the ruined alley. Next time you want to play detective, bring better toys. The electric batarangs were cute, but I've been electrocuted by better. Vlad Tepes had this thing with lightning that was much more creative. And then he was gone, flowing after Superman as the Man of Steel rocketed toward the Arctic Circle. Batman stood alone in the alley, rain washing blood from the pavement. His mind was already working, analyzing, planning. Oracle, he said quietly. Get me everything on vampire lore from every culture. Contact Zatanna, Constantine, Dr. Fate. Tell them we have a dimensional incursion. Class Omega supernatural threat. Already on it, Oracle replied. Bruce, what if Superman can't stop him? Batman's expression darkened behind the cowl. Then we find out what happens when an unstoppable force meets an unkillable object. He fired his grapnel and disappeared into Gotham's shadows, leaving only questions and blood behind. The Arctic was silent in the way only true wilderness could be. A vast expanse of ice and snow stretching to every horizon, unmarred by civilization. Superman landed on a glacier the size of Manhattan, breath visible in the -40 air. Not that temperature affected him, but the visual reminded him this was far from anyone who could be hurt. Alucard materialized from shadows 30 feet away, looking around with the curiosity of a tourist. Brisk, I like it. Very atmospheric. Much better than Gotham's whole urban decay meets architectural depression aesthetic. He stomped on the ice experimentally. How thick is this? Could we fight underwater? I've never drowned before. Well, I have, but I got better. Before we start, Superman said, arms crossed, I need to know your intentions. Why are you here? What do you want? Alucard spread his arms. Entertainment, Clark. Is that so wrong? I've been functionally omnipotent for years, and it's dreadfully boring. You have no idea what it's like to be unable to die. Every sunrise is guaranteed. Every battle's outcome is predetermined. I win. Always. Forever. His expression flickered, something almost vulnerable underneath the madness. Do you know what I'd give for the possibility of losing? Just the chance that tomorrow might not come? Superman's expression softened slightly. That sounds like hell. Oh, it is. It absolutely is. Hell would be a vacation compared to existence without stakes. Alucard's grin returned. Which is why you're such a gift, Clark. You're strong enough to make me work, maybe even strong enough to make me doubt. And doubt, sweet, precious doubt, is the rarest commodity for the unkillable. I'm not going to kill you, Superman said firmly. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to try. Give me your best. See if you can scatter me to atoms. Make me regenerate from a single cell. Challenge me. Alucard's eyes gleamed. And in return, I'll answer your questions. Fair trade, Superman considered. Every instinct screamed this was wrong. Fighting for entertainment, enabling a creature that claimed to have killed millions. But if he refused, Alucard would return to Gotham, to populated areas, to people who couldn't survive being caught in the crossfire. One fight, Superman said. Then you answer questions, and you don't hurt anyone in this world. Cross my heart and hope to die? Wait, that one doesn't work for me. Alucard made an exaggerated crossing gesture anyway. But sure, one fight, total honesty afterward, scout's honor. He paused. I was never a scout. I murdered several scouts once. Does that count? Superman didn't respond, simply dropped into a fighting stance. Alucard's smile became radiant. Oh, we're doing this. We're really doing this. Okay, ground rules, no holding back. I will know if you're pulling punches, and I will be offended. Treat me like I'm Darkseid, Doomsday, or whatever passes for an existential threat in this universe. Agreed? Agreed, Superman said, and moved. He crossed the 30 feet in a microsecond, fist cocked back, speed and power combined into a strike that had stopped alien invasions. The punch connected with Alucard's jaw, and the crack echoed across the tundra like artillery fire. Alucard's head snapped back, body launched backward at supersonic speeds, smashing through 3 glaciers before cratering into a 4th. Ice exploded in all directions. The shockwave triggered avalanches for miles. Superman was already there, following up with a heat vision blast calibrated to melt through Kryptonian steel. Twin beams of solar energy lanced through the ice and struck Alucard dead center, boring a hole through his chest the size of a basketball. For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter echoed from the crater, manic, delighted, alive. Yes, Alucard's voice boomed. That's what I'm talking about. He exploded from the ice, chest cavity already regenerating, shadows stitching flesh back, together in real time. His form blurred with speed that matched Superman's own, and they clashed midair with a thunderclap that shattered windows in the nearest research station 40 miles away. They traded blows at super speed. Superman's precision and power against Alucard's regenerative immortality and manic aggression. Each punch would have killed a normal human 1,000 times over. Each impact created miniature sonic booms. Superman grabbed Alucard and flew straight up, accelerating to escape velocity, punching through the atmosphere into the black of space. Stars wheeled around them. Earth fell away below. Oh, wow, Alucard said conversationally, despite the vacuum. I don't need to breathe. That's convenient. Also, space is beautiful. Pictures don't do it justice. Superman spun and hurled him toward the sun. Alucard tumbled through space, laughing the entire way, until Superman caught up and redirected the trajectory with a brutal kick. They careened through the void, past satellites and space debris, exchanging blows that generated light visible from Earth. You're holding back, Alucard shouted across the vacuum, somehow making sound anyway. I can tell. You're worried about killing me. Stop worrying. Superman grimaced and complied. He grabbed Alucard by the throat and accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, then pile drove him into the ice caps of Greenland. The impact created a crater visible from orbit. Ice vaporized. Bedrock cracked. Superman floated above the destruction, breathing hard despite his endurance. Below, in the center of the crater, Alucard lay in pieces, Literally. Arms separated from torso, head at an unnatural angle, legs twisted wrong. "Is that it?" came the voice, somehow emanating from all the pieces simultaneously. "That was good, Clark. Really good. Best fight I've had in decades. But I think you can do better." The pieces began crawling toward each other. Shadows flowed like liquid, knitting flesh and bone back together. Within 30 seconds, Alucard stood whole, brushing ice crystals from his coat. "My turn," he said pleasantly. Shadows erupted from his form, not just dozens now, but thousands. They filled the crater, spreading like ink through water, and from each shadow emerged a copy of Alucard. Each one solid, each one real, each one grinning with the same manic energy. "Quantum superposition is fun," all the Alucards said in unison. "I can be in multiple places simultaneously. And right now, I choose to be everywhere." Superman's eyes widened. He moved at super speed, destroying copy after copy with precision strikes. But for everyone he eliminated, 3 more appeared. Heat vision burned through dozens. Freeze breath shattered scores. Super speed allowed him to hit hundreds per second. It wasn't enough. One Alucard got through his guard, claws extended, and raked across Superman's chest. The Kryptonian suit, stronger than steel, tore like paper. 4 lines of red appeared across Superman's torso. Superman hissed in pain and shock. When was the last time something had cut him? "Supernatural claws," Alucard explained, all copies speaking as one. "Magic adjacent. Your invulnerability is physical, not mystical. Bet you figured that out just now, though." The copies collapsed back into one, and Alucard stood there, examining his claws with scientific interest. "You're tough, Clark. Tougher than almost anything I've ever fought. But you're not invincible. Not to everything. Magic hurts you, doesn't it? I can smell it on you. That tiny weakness in your otherwise perfect defense." Superman touched his chest. The cuts were already healing, super metabolism handling the damage, but they'd been real. "You're more dangerous than you let on." "Oh, I'm exceptionally dangerous. I just prefer psychological warfare to physical. More entertaining." Alucard's grin softened into something almost genuine. "But you actually pushed me. Made me use abilities I haven't touched in years. That crater you made? Took me almost a minute to fully regenerate. That's practically an eternity for me." "Are we done?" Superman asked. "Oh, we're done. You've proven your point. You're strong enough to be interesting. And I've proven mine. I'm unkillable enough to keep being interesting." Alucard sat down on a chunk of ice, crossing his legs casually. "So, questions? You wanted answers? Ask away." Superman descended slowly, landing but maintaining defensive posture. "Why are you here, in this universe?" "Accident. Dimensional rift. I was fighting something back home, released all my power simultaneously, and something went wrong, or right, depending on perspective. The universe basically hiccuped and spat me out here." Alucard shrugged. "Honestly, not sure if I can get back. Not sure I want to get back. This place has potential. What do you want?" "Same thing I've always wanted, a reason to keep existing. Back home, I had Integra, my master. The only person whose orders I followed. Without her..." Something flickered in his expression. "Without her, I'm just a monster with no direction. So here, in this new universe, I want to find out what this place has to offer. Who the strong ones are. What passes for entertainment." His eyes gleamed. "And I want to see if anyone here can actually end me." "I'm not going to kill you," Superman repeated. "I know. You're too good for that. It's nauseating and admirable. Alucard stood, brushing ice from his coat. But here's the thing, Clark. I'm not going to be a problem for you. I don't want to conquer anything. World domination is boring. I did that once in the 1400s. Very tedious. Lots of paperwork. Then what? I want to be entertained. And your universe seems full of interesting things. Gods, aliens, magic users, speedsters. Batman mentioned friends, plural. Powerful friends. Alucard's grin widened. So here's my proposal. I won't randomly slaughter civilians. I'll even help if something genuinely threatens this planet. I'm a monster, not a real estate destroyer. And I need this planet intact for entertainment purposes. In exchange, you introduce me to your world's power structure. Show me the players. Let me figure out where I fit. You're asking to join the Justice League? Superman said incredulously. God, no. Too many rules, too much teamwork. I'm a lone wolf. Well, lone vampire. Alucard waved dismissively. I'm asking for information, a guided tour of things that can potentially hurt me. Think of me as a neutral party, Switzerland, but with more blood drinking and less chocolate. Superman studied him carefully. Every instinct said this was a bad idea. But the alternative, trying to contain an unkillable quantum vampire who could be everywhere at once, seemed worse. I need to consult with the League, Superman said finally. Of course you do. Very professional. I respect that. Alucard stretched like a cat. Take your time. I'll be in Gotham. Annoying Batman. That man needs to smile more. Maybe I'll tell him jokes. Dark ones. He seems like a dark joke kind of guy. Stay away from civilians, Superman warned. I'll be a perfect gentleman. Scout's honor. Again, never was a scout, but the sentiment stands. Alucard started to dissolve into shadows, then paused. Oh, and Clark? Thank you. Genuinely. That fight was the first time in decades I felt alive. Ironically, given the whole undead thing. Don't make me regret this, Superman said. Oh, I absolutely will at some point. But today? Alucard's grin was almost friendly. Today you've bought yourself a very dangerous ally who's slightly less bored than before. Consider it a win. And then he was gone, shadows streaming back toward Gotham at impossible speed. Superman floated alone above the Arctic, looking at the miles of destroyed glacier, the crater visible from space, the evidence of a battle that had nearly escalated to catastrophe. His communicator crackled. Superman, this is Watchtower. We detected massive energy signatures. Status report? Superman sighed. Get everyone to the conference room. We need to talk about our new problem. Problem? An unkillable vampire from another dimension who just wants to be entertained. There was a long pause. This is going to be one of those briefings, isn't it? You have no idea, Superman said, and flew toward space, leaving the frozen battlefield behind. The Watchtower's conference room was designed to hold Earth's mightiest heroes. But right now, it felt too small. Superman stood at the head of the table, the holographic display behind him showing footage of his Arctic battle with Alucard. The other League members watched in varying states of concern. Wonder Woman's eyes narrowed as another replay showed Alucard regenerating from near-total destruction. This creature, it's unlike any vampire I've encountered, and I've fought many across the centuries. That's because he's not just a vampire, Batman said from his seat, fingers steepled. He'd arrived directly from Gotham, cape still damp from rain. He's something that broke the rules of his own universe and brought those broken rules here. A new file appeared on the display, Batman's preliminary analysis. Quantum superposition. He exists in multiple states simultaneously. Orthodox vampire weaknesses don't apply. Can he be killed? Aquaman asked bluntly. He claims not, Superman said. And based on what I saw, I believe him. I hit him with everything short of flying him into the sun, and he regenerated from scattered atoms in under a minute. Then we throw him into the sun, Cyborg suggested. Problem solved. Except he'd probably survive that too, Batman said. And we'd have an angry, unkillable vampire with a grudge. His psychological profile suggests retaliation would be creative. The Flash leaned forward, drumming his fingers at super speed before catching himself. Okay, so let me get this straight. We've got an interdimensional vampire who can't die, loves fighting, and wants to be entertained. Why is he still walking around? Why not trap him in the Phantom Zone or something? Because he can apparently exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, Batman said darkly. Standard dimensional prisons require the prisoner to have a fixed quantum state. He doesn't. Magic, Wonder Woman said suddenly. All eyes turned to her. Superman, you said his claws hurt you. That suggests his abilities have a mystical component. We need Constantine, Zatanna, Dr. Fate. They might know containment methods we don't. Already contacted them, Batman said. They're investigating. But Diana, there's something else. He pulled up a new file. Occult symbols, ancient texts, references to something called the Hellsing organization. Before I called the League, I did some research. Cross-referenced dimensional signatures with magical databases. This vampire mentioned a master named Integra, a Catholic organization that hunted vampires. He claimed to have killed millions. 3,427,643. Superman corrected grimly. He was very specific. Silence fell over the room like a shroud. Millions, Green Lantern repeated. He's killed millions of people and you let him go back to Gotham? I made a judgment call, John, Superman said, voice tight. Fight him in the city and risk civilian casualties in the hundreds or thousands, or draw him out where I could assess his capabilities and intentions without collateral damage. And his intentions are? Wonder Woman asked. Entertainment. Challenge. He's bored with immortality and looking for something, anything that can make him feel alive. Superman's expression was troubled. He made an offer. He won't harm civilians. Will even help defend Earth against existential threats, in exchange for information about our universe's power structure. You can't seriously be considering trusting him, Aquaman said. I don't trust him, but I believe he's telling the truth about being bored. That gives us leverage. Superman looked around the table. A creature like that, with his power level, could devastate cities just to see what happens. But if he's genuinely looking for worthy opponents, we can use that. Guide him toward threats that need eliminating anyway. Use him as a weapon, Batman said flatly. Contain him through engagement, Superman corrected. Keep him focused on targets that deserve his attention. It's not ideal, but it's better than the alternative. The Flash shook his head. Man, I hate the alternatives in this job. Remember when we just fought regular supervillains who wanted to rob banks? Before anyone could respond, the Watchtower's alarms screamed to life. Red emergency lighting flooded the conference room. Cyborg's eyes flashed as he interfaced with the station's systems. We've got a breach, he announced. Someone just teleported directly into the Watchtower. No portal, no boom tube, just appeared. Security systems can't get a lock. Where? Batman was already standing, hand moving toward his belt. Everywhere, Cyborg said, voice strained. The signature is showing up in multiple locations simultaneously. Cafeteria, training room, armory, and... His eyes widened. Right outside this room. The conference room doors opened. Alucard walked in like he owned the place, hands in his coat pockets, sunglasses reflecting the emergency lighting. Nice security system. Very flashy. Completely useless against quantum teleportation, but points for trying. He looked around at the assembled heroes with undisguised delight. "Oh, this is fantastic. You're all here. It's like a superhero convention, except with actual competence instead of awkward photos and overpriced merchandise." Every hero was on their feet instantly. Wonder Woman's hand went to her lasso. Green Lantern's ring flared, Flash vibrated, ready to move. Aquaman gripped his trident. Batman's hand was already holding 3 batarangs. Superman stepped forward, voice hard. "How did you get here?" "I followed you." "Well, not followed exactly. More like sensed where you went and decided to pop in." Alucard gestured vaguely. "Quantum omnipresence, remember? I can be anywhere I want, this satellite included. Nice view, by the way. Earth from space is gorgeous. Very romantic. If I had a girlfriend who wasn't my guns, I'd totally bring her here." "This is a secure facility," Batman growled. "And I'm an interdimensional anomaly who breaks the laws of physics for breakfast. We've established I don't play by the rules." Alucard's grin widened. "But don't worry, I'm not here to fight. I'm here because..." He paused dramatically. "I got bored waiting for you to have your little committee meeting about me, and I figured I'd speed things along by introducing myself properly, to everyone, at once, while you're all conveniently gathered. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid," Wonder Woman said, lasso beginning to glow. "Immortal, actually. Removes most survival instincts." Alucard's eyes swept across her, analyzing. "Ooh, you're interesting. Not human. Divine ancestry? I'm getting goddess vibes. Greek, Roman, something Mediterranean, definitely." He sniffed the air. "Clay and divine breath. Athena's touch. You're an Amazon. I've met Amazons before. Lovely. Warriors. Terrible poker players." "How do you..." Wonder Diana started. "Telepathy plus 500 years of meeting weird things equals very good pattern recognition." Alucard turned his attention to Green Lantern. "And you've got alien jewelry that runs on willpower. Fascinating. Does it work on other emotions? Fear, rage, lust? I bet there's a lust ring somewhere in this universe. There's always a lust ring. There are multiple Lantern cores based on different emotions," Green Lantern said guardedly. "How do you know about..." "Lucky guess. Plus, I'm reading your surface thoughts. You're all very loudly thinking about how to kill me. Spoiler alert, you can't. We established this with Superman." He looked at Flash next. "You're fast. Really fast. Different kind of fast than normal super speed. You're tapped into something extra-dimensional, a force that governs velocity itself." "The Speed Force," Flash said carefully. "And if you can read minds, why are you asking questions?" "Because talking is more fun than just knowing. I'm a conversationalist, a people person. Well, a people eater. But there's overlap." Alucard's gaze shifted to Aquaman. "Atlantean king. Telepathic connection to sea life. Strong enough to bench press submarines. Bet you get a lot of jokes about talking to fish." "More than you'd think," Aquaman said dryly. "And you?" Alucard focused on Cyborg. "Half human, half machine. Technological integration at the cellular level. Can interface with any computer system. Mother box technology, if I'm reading the signatures right. Which means you've got connections to gods, the new gods specifically. Oh, this universe keeps getting better." Cyborg's human eye widened. "How do you know about mother boxes?" "I don't. I'm extrapolating from your technology's energy signature and Batman's data files, which I skimmed while quantum existing in your Batcave's computer system approximately 30 seconds ago. Lovely cave, by the way. Very on brand. The Giant Penny really sells the whole brooding vigilante with disposable income aesthetic. Batman's jaw clenched. You were in the Batcave? Am in the Batcave. Present tense. Also simultaneously here. Quantum superposition. Alucard spread his arms like a game show host. I'm having this conversation and reading your files and checking out your training facilities and seeing if your coffee machine works. Spoiler, it does, and your coffee is terrible. How do you function on that swill? This is a breach of... Superman started. Everything, yes, I know. Protocols, security, personal boundaries, probably several laws. But here's the thing. Alucard's expression suddenly became serious. I'm doing this to make a point. You can't contain me, can't track me, can't predict me. Your phantom zones and magic prisons and high-tech containment cells, useless. I could be in all of them and none of them simultaneously. The room fell silent. The weight of that statement settled over the heroes like a wet blanket. So here's the deal, Alucard continued. You have two options. Option 1, keep treating me like a threat, waste resources trying to contain the uncontainable, and I'll eventually get bored and start causing problems just to see how you react. Option 2, accept that I'm here, I'm not leaving, I'm functionally unkillable, and work with me instead of against me. Work with you? Wonder Woman's eyes narrowed. You're a mass murderer. In my universe, yes. Against enemies of humanity. Vampires, ghouls, Nazis. You know, the acceptable targets. Alucard shrugged. In this universe, I haven't killed a single innocent. Well, except those 4 rapists in Gotham. But I stand by that executive decision. Batman can thank me later. Why should we trust anything you say? Green Lantern demanded. You shouldn't. I'm a monster. I've never pretended otherwise. Alucard's grin returned. But I'm a monster who's offering you something valuable, my services. Point me at your existential threats. Your Darkseids, your Doomsdays, your Apokolips-level problems. I'll handle them, enthusiastically, with extreme prejudice and entertaining one-liners. In exchange for what? Batman asked, always looking for the angle. Entertainment, information, access to worthy opponents. Alucard's eyes gleamed. I want to meet your gods, Batman, your demons, your cosmic entities. I want to test myself against the things that make even Superman worried. And in return, you get a quantum immortal vampire who's very good at killing things that need killing. Superman and Batman exchanged a long look. Decades of partnership allowed for entire conversations in that glance. Finally, Superman spoke. We need to discuss this. Privately. Of course, take your time. Democratic process and all that. Alucard started walking toward the door, then paused. Oh, but just so you know, while you're deciding, I'm going to be exploring your lovely planet, seeing the sights, maybe visiting this Themyscira place Diana's thinking about very loudly. Do Amazons appreciate surprise visits? Asking for a friend. The friend is me. Stay away from Themyscira, Wonder Woman said coldly. Ooh, protective. I respect that. Alucard winked, somehow visible even through his sunglasses. Fine, fine. I'll stick to the mainland. Lots to explore there anyway. Metropolis, Central City, Star City. You people are very creative with your city names, by the way. Very on the nose. He reached the door, then turned back one final time. One more thing. Your magical community is convening an emergency meeting about me. Constantine, Zatanna, someone called Dr. Fate. They're planning a binding ritual. Just thought you should know it won't work. Quantum existence beats magic. But I appreciate the effort. His grin became something mischievous. I'll attend the meeting anyway. Should be hilarious. And then he was gone, literally fading from view. Multiple versions of him simultaneously, existing and not existing, until even his shadow disappeared. The emergency lighting shut off, normal systems restored. The conference room fell silent. "I hate him," Green Lantern said finally. "He broke into the Batcave," Batman said, voice dangerously quiet. "He's reading our files, accessing our systems. He's in our heads." "He's also right," Superman said heavily. "We can't contain him, can't kill him, and if we make him an enemy, he'll be worse than any villain we've ever fought." "So we just accept this?" Flash asked. "Work with a mass-murdering vampire because we don't have a choice?" "We guide him," Wonder Woman said thoughtfully. "Superman's idea. Point him at threats that justify his power. Use his nature against problems that require his particular skill set." "It's a deal with the devil," Aquaman observed. "No," Batman said. "The devil keeps his bargains. This is a deal with something worse. A bored god who might forget about us if we're not interesting enough." Cyborg pulled up a new display. "Guys, we've got another problem. The magical community meeting he mentioned, it's already happening. And according to this, he's there, right now, while simultaneously being in at least 6 other locations across the planet." Superman closed his eyes. "Of course he is." "Should we?" Green Lantern started. "No," Batman interrupted. "Let the magic users try their ritual. When it fails, and it will fail, they'll confirm what we already know. Then we'll have unanimous agreement across both scientific and mystical communities." "Agreement on what?" Flash asked. Batman's expression was grim behind his cowl. "That we're dealing with something unprecedented, and that our only option is containment through cooperation." Wonder Woman stood, lasso coiling at her hip. "Then we'd better hope his idea of cooperation aligns with keeping this planet intact." Outside the Watchtower's windows, Earth spun peacefully in the void, unaware that somewhere on its surface, a quantum vampire was currently attending a magical intervention about himself while simultaneously raiding Superman's Arctic fortress of solitude, trying on Batman's spare cowls in the Batcave and alphabetizing the Flash's comic book collection. Just to see what would happen. The London sanctum smelled of ancient leather, musty books, and ozone from recently cast wards. Zatanna Zatara, John Constantine, and Dr. Fate, or rather, the Helmet of Fate hovering above Kent Nelson's still form, stood within a triple circle of protection. Candles flickered with unnatural blue flame. Symbols of binding, banishment, and containment glowed on the stone floor. "All right, love," Constantine said, lighting a cigarette despite Zatanna's glare. "We've got the big guns, the fancy hats, and enough mystical firepower to send a legion of demons back to the pit. Let's get this wanker sorted." "He's not a demon, John," Zatanna said, adjusting her top hat. "The readings are wrong. He's a dimensional paradox wrapped in vampiric flesh. Batman's data suggests he operates on quantum principles that shouldn't be compatible with magic." "Everything's compatible with magic if you hit it hard enough," Constantine grumbled. "Now, Nabu, you ready?" The helmet tilted. A voice echoed, ancient and emotionless. "The entity defies categorization. Its soul is a knot of millions. Its existence is unanchored from reality. Standard bindings will fail." "Yeah, got that from the memo," Constantine said. "That's why we're using the extra strength bindings, the ones we save for when Lucifer pops by for tea." "He's here," Zatanna said suddenly, her eyes widening. Alucard was sitting cross-legged in the center of their triple circle, chin resting on his hands, grinning. "Don't mind me. Please continue," I love a good ritual. The chanting, the candles, the palpable sense of impending disappointment. It's like watching a magic show where the rabbit eats the magician. Constantine didn't flinch. He'd expected something like this. Right on schedule. You know, for an all-powerful interdimensional vampire, you're a bit predictable. Am I? Or did I just predict your prediction and arrive precisely when you expected me to, thereby fulfilling your expectation while simultaneously subverting it through meta-narrative compliance? Alucard's grin widened. Philosophy is fun when you've got eternity to think about it. You carry the stench of a foreign reality, Dr. Fate intoned. Your presence weakens the boundaries of this world. And your helmet is very shiny. Do you polish it, or does it just naturally repel charisma? Alucard stood, brushing imaginary dust from his coat. Look, I appreciate the effort. Really, I do. Binding ritual, triple circles, the whole eldritch abomination welcoming committee vibe. But it won't work. And not because I'm too powerful, though I am, but because you're thinking about this wrong. Zatanna's hands were already moving. Egnar Yimdlo! The air solidified around Alucard. Stone crawled up his legs, encasing him in granite. He looked down, impressed. Ooh, earth magic. Classic, effective against most incorporeal beings. But see, he took a step forward, and the stone shattered like glass, falling away as dust. I'm corporeal and incorporeal simultaneously. You're trying to bind a single state. I exist in all states. It's like trying to catch smoke with a net made of smoke. Constantine flicked his cigarette. All right, Nabu. Hit him with the fateful gaze. Let's see how he likes having his destiny rewritten. The eye of Agamotto on Fate's helmet glowed. A beam of golden light, capable of unraveling spells, severing mystical connections, and forcing beings into their true forms, lanced out. It hit Alucard square in the chest, and did nothing. Alucard looked down at the glowing spot, then back at Fate. Is that it? I was expecting, I don't know, cosmic judgment? A sternly worded divine verdict? This is just warm, like a really aggressive sunbeam. He patted his chest. Oh, you're trying to force me into a true form? That's adorable. My true form is a vampire who exists in quantum superposition. You're basically telling reality to be reality. It's already listening. Impossible! Fate boomed, the first hint of frustration coloring his timeless voice. No, just really, really advanced. Alucard started pacing the circle, hands behind his back, lecturing like a professor. See, in my universe, I absorbed a being called Schrödinger. Catboy, Nazi, could be everywhere and nowhere. It broke me, or fixed me. Depends on your perspective. The point is, I don't have a single stable existence to force. You can't bind everywhere. You can't banish nowhere. It's a logical paradox. Zatanna tried another tactic. Ephilotni Shif. The spell, designed to revert any being to a prior state of existence, washed over Alucard. For a split second, he flickered. The image of a younger Alucard, pre-Schrödinger, bleeding and angry, appeared. Then it snapped back. Nice try, Alucard said cheerfully, trying to revert me to a time before I was omnipresent. But that's a linear concept. Time is flexible for me now. I exist in my past, present, and future simultaneously. You'd have to unravel the entire quantum knot of my existence. And frankly, I don't think your little circle has the processing power. Constantine sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Right. Plan B. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small, ornate box made of weathered wood and iron. Alucard's smile finally faded. Oh, a soul trap. Clever. You said it yourself, mate. Your soul is a knot of millions. This little beauty doesn't bind your body or your power. It binds identity. It'll suck every last screaming soul out of you and lock it away, leaving nothing but an empty shell. Constantine's grin was all teeth. Let's see your quantum physics handle that. He opened the box. A soundless shriek filled the sanctum. The air howled as a vortex of pure mystical suction focused on Alucard. His form wavered. Shadows streamed from his body. Faces, screaming, millions of them, pulled toward the box. Alucard gritted his teeth, straining. For the first time, he looked genuinely uncomfortable. Okay, that's new. Told you, Constantine said smugly. Everything's got a weakness. Yours is that you're a collection of stolen souls. This box collects souls. Bad match for you, innit? The stream intensified. Alucard's body began to dim, to become translucent. He was fighting it, but the pull was relentless, rooted in the fundamental magic of identity and possession. Then he started laughing. It was a strained laugh, pained, but genuine. Oh, you clever bastard. You actually found a thing that works. Sort of. Sort of? Zatanna asked, maintaining her stance. It's pulling my souls, all of them, every last one I've eaten. Alucard's form solidified slightly as he focused. But here's the thing. I've got millions. And this box. He peered at it, even as shadows tore from him. How many can it hold? 10,000? 100,000? It's a big box, but it's not infinite. Constantine's smug expression faltered. He looked at the box, then back at Alucard, who was still losing souls by the thousands, but whose smile was returning. You're trying to drain an ocean with a bucket, Alucard said, his voice strengthening. And while you're busy with that, let me ask you a question. What happens to all those souls if the box overflows? The box began to vibrate. A hairline crack appeared in the iron lid. John, Zatanna warned. Shit. Constantine tried to close the box, but the vortex was self-sustaining now. The crack widened. The screaming from within grew louder, more chaotic. Release the spell, Fate commanded. I can't, it's locked. Alucard took a step forward, against the torrent. You wanted to see my true form? How about I show you what happens when you poke a hive of 3 million angry ghosts? The box shattered. The resulting explosion was silent and blindingly white. It wasn't physical force, it was pure spiritual energy, a shockwave of released identities. The protective circles flared and died. The candles snuffed out. Constantine was thrown against a bookshelf. Zatanna shielded her eyes. When the light faded, the center of the room was no longer occupied by one Alucard. It was occupied by a shifting, swirling maelstrom of shadows and screaming faces. A towering, formless mass of consumed lives. At its core, a single red eye the size of a dinner plate opened. Behold, the chorus of a million voices spoke. The legend. The mass condensed, solidified, and Alucard stood there again, looking mildly annoyed. His sunglasses were gone. His eyes glowed with a faint, internal light of countless souls. Well, that was rude. Do you know how long it took to get all those neatly stored? Now they're all riled up. Constantine got to his feet, coughing. All right. You've made your point. We can't bind you. Happy? Ecstatic. Alucard snapped his fingers, and a new pair of orange sunglasses appeared on his face. But like I told the capes in space, I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to, let's call it, register my presence with the local supernatural authorities. Consider this my courtesy visit. Zatanna lowered her hands. What do you want from us? Mostly to be left alone, or pointed at interesting problems. I hear you lot deal with demonic invasions, reality tears, and the occasional apocalypse. Sounds like my kind of party." He walked to the edge of the broken circle, stepping over the smoldering remnants. "I'll even play by some rules. No feeding on innocence. No unraveling reality for giggles. I'll stick to the acceptable targets. Demons, dark gods, cosmic horrors, Nazis if you have any left over." "Why?" Constantine asked, lighting a new cigarette with trembling hands. "Because the alternative is boredom, John. And when I get bored, I do things like this." Alucard gestured around the sanctum. One of the bookshelves spontaneously rearranged itself, its books now sorted by color instead of subject. "See? Annoying, but harmless. Imagine if I was actually trying to cause trouble." Dr. Fate's helmet floated closer. "You represent an unknown variable. The cosmic balance cannot tolerate anomalies." "The cosmic balance can suck my metaphysical dick," Alucard said pleasantly. "I'm here. I'm staying. You can either waste your time trying to fix a problem that isn't broken, or you can use me. I'm a very sharp tool. Point me at something that needs cutting." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and John? That soul trap was a good idea. Next time, bring a bigger box. Or better yet, don't. I'd hate for us to start off on the wrong foot. We could be friends. I've always wanted a magical hobo friend." And with that, he was gone, leaving only the scent of ozone and the lingering echo of a million silent screams. Zatanna let out a long breath. "Well, that was a complete and utter clusterfuck," Constantine finished, taking a deep drag. "He's right, though. We can't bind him, can't banish him, can't even properly annoy him." "He is correct in his assessment," Fate said, the helmet turning toward them. "He is a tool of unparalleled potential and danger. To reject his offer is to create an enemy we cannot defeat. To accept it is to invite chaos into our ranks." "So we do what the Justice League is doing," Zatanna concluded. "We contain him by cooperating. We guide him toward threats that actually need his particular talents." Constantine snorted. "You mean we use the apocalyptic vampire to fight other apocalypses? What could possibly go wrong?" "It's the only play we've got," Zatanna said. She looked at the color-coded bookshelf and sighed. Besides, he's already making himself at home. In the silence that followed, a single thought echoed in all their minds. The rules had just changed. The DC universe now had a wild card that played by no rules at all. And somewhere across the planet, Alucard was simultaneously visiting the Hall of Justice gift shop, trying on a Superman cape and ordering a custom-made mug that read, "World's Okayest Vampire," just for the fun of it. The conference room at LexCorp Tower was all polished obsidian, steel, and arrogance. Lex Luthor stood before a floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at Metropolis like a god surveying his creation. On the screen behind him, security footage played on a loop. Superman's Arctic battle, the Watchtower intrusion, blurry magical sensor readings from London. "An outside context problem," Luthor said, not turning around. "That's what this is. A variable that doesn't fit our existing equations. It breaks the predictable patterns of heroes and villains." His guest, seated in a chair that cost more than a family home, swirled a glass of 50-year-old scotch. Talia al Ghul's expression was one of detached interest. "My father would call it a culling wind, a force that tests the strength of all existing structures. It either breaks them or reveals their weaknesses. Or provides an opportunity," Luthor countered, finally turning. His smile was a sharp, calculated thing. "This Alucard is powerful, unkillable, and, according to every psychological profile Batman and I have independently generated, profoundly bored. Boredom is the most exploitable motivator there is. You think you can control him? Talia asked, a faint smirk on her lips. A being that the Justice League and the Lord of Order himself cannot bind? Control is a crude concept. I'm talking about direction, incentivization. Luthor tapped a key on his desk. A new file opened, a complex behavioral model, algorithms predicting response probabilities. He wants entertainment, challenge, the sensation of risk. Our beloved Boy Scout and his friends can only offer him regulated, moralized conflict. They will point him at acceptable targets. They will try to make him a blunt instrument. And you will offer him something else. I will offer him a game, Luthor said, his eyes gleaming. A complex, high-stakes game with real consequences. One where he gets to fight the strongest beings this universe has to offer, with no rules holding him back. All he has to do in return is remove a few persistent obstacles. Talia understood immediately. Superman and his allies. Not through simple assassination. That would be crude and likely impossible in Superman's case. But by redirecting their attention, by creating crises that only this vampire can solve, thereby demonstrating the League's inadequacy. By forcing moral compromises that shatter their unity. Luthor's plan unfolded in his mind, beautiful in its ruthlessness. I will make Alucard the solution to problems I create. And in doing so, I will make the heroes either embrace a monster or reveal themselves as hypocrites willing to sacrifice their principles for safety. An elegant stratagem, Talia conceded. But how do you make contact? He is reportedly everywhere and nowhere. As if on cue, the ambient lighting in the room flickered. The scent of copper and old blood briefly cut through the sterile, filtered air. He's already here, Luthor said, his voice dropping to a murmur. Aren't you? A shadow detached itself from the corner of the room where the lighting systems converged. Alucard coalesced from the gloom, stepping into the light as if emerging from a pool of ink. He was holding a framed picture from Luthor's desk. A younger Luthor receiving a business award. Lex Luthor, billionaire, philanthropist, genius, chronic baldness, and you must be Talia al Ghul, daughter of the demon, mother of Batman's child, professional complicated relationship haver. Alucard placed the picture back, perfectly aligned. Lovely office. I conquered capitalism and all I got was this sterile monument to my own ego. I dig it. Luthor didn't flinch. His heart rate, monitored by his own subcutaneous systems, remained steady. Alucard, I've been hoping to speak with you. And you didn't even need to send an invitation. I'm very considerate that way. Alucard flopped into a chair opposite Talia, propping his boots on Luthor's obsidian desk. So, you've been modeling me. Cute. Did your algorithms predict I'd show up right now? On the main screen, the security footage was replaced by a single, blinking word. Yes. Alucard's eyebrows rose behind his sunglasses. Okay, points for honesty. And for having a system sophisticated enough to track quantum probability, most people just get a headache. I am not most people, Luthor said, taking his own seat. And I believe we can help each other. Let me guess. You want me to kill Superman? Talia stiffened slightly. Luthor merely smiled. Kill? No. That's the crude desire of small minds. I want to prove he's unnecessary, obsolete. I want to show the world that its reliance on a charismatic alien is a weakness. And I believe your unique talents can facilitate that demonstration. Alucard steepled his fingers. Go on, I'm listening. This is already more interesting than the League's "please don't eat anyone's" speech. The Justice League will try to use you as a weapon. They will point you at external threats, aliens, monsters, invaders. They will keep you on a leash, dictating the terms of your engagement. Luthor leaned forward. I am offering you the opposite. I am offering you the keys to the playground, access to threats they keep locked away, conflicts they deliberately avoid, battles they deem too dangerous or too morally ambiguous. I will give you challenges the heroes won't. Such as? Luthor tapped another key. The screen displayed dossiers, locations, security schematics. The War World, a mobile planetoid fortress currently drifting in the Ghost Sector, manned by an alien armada that even the Green Lantern Corps avoids. A perpetual, glorious war. The Black Gate, a fissure to a dimension of primordial chaos, sealed by the combined might of the magical community. They spend immense energy just keeping it closed. I can show you how to open it. Just a crack. The Omega Titans, dormant cosmic beings buried at the Earth's core. Waking one would be a significant event. Alucard's grin was slow and deep. You're not offering me battles. You're offering me apocalypses. I'm offering you meaning, Luthor corrected. A purpose beyond being the League's attack dog. You seek to test your limits? These are limits worth testing. And in the process, you will force Superman and his allies into impossible choices. Save a continent from the Omega Titan, or stop you from unleashing the War World. Every move you make will expose their limitations, their compromises. And what do you get out of this? Alucard asked, his head tilted like a curious bird of prey. The satisfaction of seeing truth prevail. The dismantling of a dangerous cultural myth. Luthor's gaze was unwavering. And, of course, the removal of obstacles to human progress. While they are busy chasing you, certain projects of mine will advance unopposed. Talia finally spoke, her voice cool. My father's organization could provide logistical support, intelligence, access to ancient weapons and forgotten battlegrounds. We have an interest in testing the world's defenses as well. Alucard looked between them, then burst out laughing. It was a rich, full-bodied sound that echoed in the sterile room. Oh, you two are perfect. The bald megalomaniac and the assassin queen offering me the keys to the armory and a map to all the big red buttons. You're not even pretending this is for anyone's good, but your own. I respect the lack of hypocrisy. His laughter died. He took his feet off the desk and leaned forward, his red eyes visible even through the orange lenses. But here's the thing. I'm a monster, not a pawn. I don't do schemes. I don't do long-term plots. I do violence and chaos and immediate, visceral fun. Your plan is clever. It's even elegant. But it's boring. It's paperwork with extra steps. Luthor's smile didn't falter, but a cold light entered his eyes. You're rejecting my offer? I'm rejecting your method. You want to use me as a scalpel. I'm a tsunami. You can't direct me. You can only hope to get out of the way. Alucard stood up. But don't worry, Lexi. You've given me some lovely ideas. Warworld? Sounds like a hoot. Maybe I'll go there after I pay a visit to... Let's see. He snapped his fingers. Apokolips. I hear the local management is a real dick. It'd be rude not to say hello. Talia's composure cracked for a second. You would challenge Darkseid directly? Challenge, annoy, maybe redecorate. I'll see how the mood strikes me. Alucard winked at her. Tell your dad. I said hi. And that his whole eternal life through murder shtick is very early 2000s goth. He should update his brand. He began to dissolve into shadows, heading for the window. This is a mistake, Luthor said, his voice hardening. The League will never give you what you truly want. They will stifle you with their morality. With me, you could be unleashed. Alucard's fading form paused. His voice echoed from multiple points in the room. You still don't get it, Luthor. I don't want to be unleashed by someone else. I am the leash, and the hand holding it, and the dog on the end of it. I'm the whole damn metaphor. He was gone. The room was silent for a long moment. Talia took a slow sip of her scotch. So, Plan A has failed. Luthor stared at the space where Alucard had been, his mind already racing through new calculations. Failed? No. It provided invaluable data. He is chaotic, narcissistic, and incapable of sustained alliance. He is also, as predicted, drawn to the greatest immediate threat. He's going to Apokolips. A new cruel smile touched Luthor's lips. And when Darkseid inevitably turns his attention to Earth, seeking the source of this new annoyance, Superman will have no choice but to stand against him. The conflict will be catastrophic. The world will see its savior pushed to his absolute limit, and perhaps beyond it. He turned to Talia. Contact your father. Tell him to prepare. The culling wind is coming, and when it passes, we will be the ones left standing to rebuild. High above Metropolis, a stream of shadows arrowed away from the planet, not into the depths of space, but into the conceptual elsewhere that was the fourth world. Alucard, existing in a state of joyful anticipation, was not thinking of Luthor's schemes or the League's dilemmas. He was thinking of one thing, and one thing only. Finally, a god to punch. Apokolips wasn't a planet. It was a declaration of war against the very concept of peace. Its skies bled perpetual fire, its rivers ran with liquid despair, and the air tasted of ash and subjugation. The ground trembled under the marching boots of countless parademons. At the center of it all, the dread city of Armageddon sprawled like a cancerous growth, and within its highest spire, Darkseid sat upon his throne, contemplating the anti-life equation. He was not contemplating it for long. A new shadow fell across the floor of his throne room, a patch of darkness that didn't belong to the hellish furnaces outside. It deepened, thickened, and then Alucard stepped out of it, brushing invisible soot from his red coat. Wow. You really went for the whole grim-dark interior design thing, didn't you? Alucard whistled, looking around at the towering, brutalist architecture, the flaming braziers, the ominous geometric shadows. It's a bit on the nose, needs a plant, or a cheerful throw. Pillow. Something to say. I'm an evil god, but I have a soft side. Darkseid's great stone-like head did not turn. His glowing red eyes merely shifted in their sockets to regard the intruder. He did not speak. He did not need to. His presence alone was a crushing weight of absolute tyranny, a psychic scream of domination that would shatter lesser minds. Alucard yawned. Yeah. I am Darkseid, your inevitable end, blah, blah, blah. Heard it before. From bigger fish, frankly. He strode forward, his boots echoing on the obsidian floor. I'm here for 2 reasons. 1, I heard you're the toughest guy in this neighborhood. 2, I'm bored. Let's see if we can solve both problems at once. Finally, Darkseid spoke. His voice was the grinding of continental plates, the sound of stars dying. You are an anomaly, a flicker in the firmament. You will be snuffed out. Promises, promises. Alucard stopped a dozen paces from the throne. Tell you what, you hit me with your best shot, the famous Omega beams, the total erasure from existence special. Let's see if they live up to the hype. Darkseid's expression did not change. It couldn't. But a wave of cold, amused malice radiated from him. To come to Apokolips and issue such a challenge was not bravery. It was the final spasm of a mind already broken by his presence. His eyes glowed brighter. Twin beams of crimson energy, not light, but the negation of life and possibility, lanced from Darkseid's eyes. They did not travel. They simply were, striking Alucard instantly. They did not burn or blast. They unraveled. Matter, energy, soul, memory, the very concept of Alucard, was targeted for absolute, retroactive deletion. Alucard threw his head back and screamed. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated agony. His body didn't just disintegrate, it unwrote itself. He vanished into motes of fading nothingness, the Omega effect scouring him from reality, seeking every quantum possibility of his existence and annihilating it. Silence returned to the throne room, broken only by the distant screams of the forever damned. Darkseid's gaze returned to the middle distance. The anomaly was removed. Order was... A chuckle echoed in the empty air. It came from everywhere and nowhere. From the shadows between the stones, from the flicker of the flames, from the silent spaces between Darkseid's own thoughts. Oh, that was good. Shadows pooled, swirled, and Alucard recoalesced, leaning against a pillar as if catching his breath. He was whole, but he looked strained. His form flickered at the edges. His smile was tight, genuine pain in his eyes. 63 seconds. Took me a full minute to pull myself back together from that. You, my stony friend, have delivered. Darkseid's head turned, a slow, tectonic movement. For the first time in millennia, something akin to curiosity stirred within him. The Omega beams had failed, not been blocked, not been survived. They had done their work. He had felt the entity's existence erased, and yet here it was. How? Quantum superposition, baby. Alucard pushed off the pillar, his form stabilizing with each step. You erased a me, maybe even a few thousand versions of me. But I exist in all possible states where I am self-aware. You'd have to hit every version, across every potential reality, simultaneously. And buddy, I don't think you've got the range. He cracked his neck. My turn. He moved, not with super speed, but with instant quantum teleporting displacement. He was suddenly behind the throne, claws extended, raking towards Darkseid's neck. A wall of pure force erupted from Darkseid, a concussive blast of divine will that could flatten mountains. It hit Alucard and splattered him against the far wall like a bug. The red smear slid down, reformed, and Alucard charged again. Again! The battle that followed was not a fight in any conventional sense. It was a collision of two different kinds of impossibility. Darkseid was a fundamental force of the universe. Tyranny given form, power absolute and unwavering. His blows shattered reality around them. Alucard was a paradox given flesh, unbound by cause, effect, or finality. Alucard was torn apart, vaporized, disintegrated, and erased 100 times. Each time he reappeared, laughing, taunting, demanding more. He could not harm Darkseid. His claws skittered off skin harder than neutronium. His strength was nothing to the new god. But he was an utterly unbreakable distraction. You cannot win, Darkseid boomed, backhanding Alucard through 3 walls of solid neutron star material. I don't have to win. Alucard's voice echoed from the rubble. He crawled out, one arm missing, regenerating as he spoke. I just have to annoy you, and I am a professional annoyer. He launched himself again, not at Darkseid, but at the base of his throne. He couldn't break it, but he could tip it. The symbol of Darkseid's power rocked violently. A low grinding rumble shook the entire citadel. Darkseid rose to his feet. The air grew so heavy that the stone itself groaned. He was done playing. You seek entertainment. I will show you the entertainment of Apokolips. He raised a fist. The very fabric of Apokolips responded. The floor opened into a pit that led not down, but sideways, into a dimension of pure, screaming torment. The source wall's bleeding edge, a place where concepts went to be forgotten. Ooh, a portal. My favorite, Alucard said, peering into the abyss. He then looked back at Darkseid, his grin manic. But I've got a better idea. He didn't jump in. Instead, he concentrated. For the first time since arriving in the DC universe, he fully, consciously tapped into the implications of his Schrödinger-granted omnipresence. He wasn't just in Apokolips. He was in all of Apokolips. Across the fire pits, 100 parademon drill sergeants suddenly found themselves slapped by invisible hands. In the Sa-Ia-style armories, every weapon was spontaneously painted a cheerful pink. In the dread halls where Granny Goodness tortured new recruits, a complex 4-part harmony rendition of I Will Survive began to play from the walls themselves. In Desaad's torture chambers, all the instruments of pain were replaced with fluffy pillows and strongly worded letters of complaint. Chaos, absurd, undiagnosable chaos, erupted across the planet. Darkseid felt it, not as damage, but as a profound insult, a violation of his absolute order. His focus on the singular anomaly before him fractured for a microsecond as he perceived the 1,000 petty rebellions breaking out everywhere at once. In that microsecond, Alucard was gone from the throne room. He reappeared in the heart of Armageddon's central power core, a seething star of harvested misery. He didn't try to destroy it. He just stuck his hand into the energy stream. "Hey, universe!" he shouted, his voice amplified by the core, broadcast across metaphysical frequencies only gods and monsters could hear. "Just wanted to let you all know I'm here, and I'm fabulous." He poured his own chaotic, quantum-tainted essence into the core, not to overload it, but to tag it. Like spiritual graffiti. The signal that blasted out across the cosmos was unmistakable. A rogue, omnipresent power had just marked Apokolips. In the throne room, Darkseid froze. The message was received. By him. By the gods of New Genesis. By the guardians of Oa. By every psychic and cosmic entity tuned to the frequency of power. The Lord of Apokolips had not been defeated. He hadn't even been truly challenged. But he had been mocked. His inviolate domain had been turned into a playground for a moment. And now the entire cosmic neighborhood knew it. Darkseid's rage was a silent, cold thing that made the fires of Apokolips burn blue. He turned his gaze inward, toward Earth. The anomaly came from there. On the satellite monitoring station of the new gods, the warrior Orion snarled, watching the impossible energy signature flare and fade. Father has been provoked. On Oa, the Guardians conferred in emotionless telepathy, a new variable, potentially disruptive to the emotional spectrum, assign a lantern to observe. And in the Justice League Watchtower, alarms screamed at a pitch reserved for existential threats. Superman stared at the monitor, watching the cosmic disturbance registered as Apokoliptian incursion, source, unknown, internal. He did it, Batman said from the Batcomputer, his voice grim. He went to Apokolips, and he just put a target the size of a planet on Earth's back. Back in the smoking throne room, Alucard finally pulled his hand from the core, chuckling. His work was done. The ultimate provocation. He'd picked a fight with a god not to win, but to get the other god's attention. He dissolved into shadows, just as Darkseid's presence crushed the space he'd occupied into a singularity, reforming in the silent void between galaxies. Alucard floated, checking his metaphorical nails. He felt good, tired in a way he hadn't been in decades, actually strained, Regenerating from Omega beams had taken real effort. He smiled, a true, unfiltered expression of joy. Finally, a universe with stakes. The Watchtower's main monitor was a mosaic of escalating crises. Every alarm in the solar system seemed to be ringing at once. Apocalyptian boom tube signatures, massing at the edge of the Kuiper belt, Cyborg reported, his mechanical voice tight. Not an invasion fleet? Yet. It's a forward observation force. But it's bigger than any scout contingent we've ever seen. New Genesis has mobilized in response, Wonder Woman added, watching a separate feed showing the gleaming warships of Highfather. Orion is demanding to know what earthbound anomaly provoked Darkseid. They believe we unleashed a weapon. The magical wards around the Black Gate are fluctuating. Zatanna's voice came through the comms, strained. Constantine thinks the reverberations from Apokolips have weakened them. Things are trying to push through from the other side. And we've got a level 10 meta-human breakout at Belle Reve, Flash reported, a blur of motion, even on screen. Amanda Waller is screaming that it's coordinated. The inmates say they heard a call to party. Superman stood at the center of it all, his cape still. The weight of the situation pressed on him with a gravity that had nothing to do with mass. He's destabilizing everything, not by conquering, but by existing. He's a catalyst, Batman said from the shadows of the monitor bank. He'd been running simulations since the Apokolips signal erupted. His presence lowers the activation energy for every latent conflict in our universe. Darkseid was looking for an excuse. The magical balance was always precarious. The villains were always waiting for a distraction. He didn't create the threats. He just turned on all the lights at once. So, what's the play? Green Lantern Hal Jordan asked, his ring glowing brightly. Do we try to find him and stop him? Or batten down the hatches? We can't find him, Superman said, frustration seeping into his voice. He's quantum. He could be anywhere, everywhere. The only way to find him is to wait for him to appear. Then we prepare for the consequences of his appearance, Wonder Woman said, drawing herself up. Darkseid's forces are the most immediate threat. If they boom tube to Earth, it will be war on a global scale. We must meet them before they arrive. And the Black Gate? Zatanna asked over the comm. And the prison break? Flash added. And the 3 alien warlords who just declared a bounty on Earth, calling it the source of the new chaos? Cyborg finished, pulling up another news feed. The League looked at each other. They were 7 of the most powerful beings on the planet, and they were facing a forefront crisis of apocalyptic proportions, all sparked by one bored vampire's afternoon jaunt. We split up, Superman said, the decision settling on him with grim certainty. It's what we do. Diana, Lantern with me to the Kuiper belt. We try to talk down Darkseid's forces, or hold them. Batman, coordinate with Constantine and Zatanna on the Black Gate. Use League resources magic, whatever it takes. Flash, contain Belle Reve. Cyborg, you're on global monitoring and communications. If he shows up anywhere, we'll know, Cyborg confirmed. Maybe. As the League shot into motion, Batman approached Superman. Clark, there's another option. We don't have time for contingencies, Bruce. This isn't a contingency. It's a question. What if we give him what he wants? Superman paused. What are you talking about? He wants a challenge. A single, overwhelming threat that forces him to his limit. We're looking at 4. What if we consolidate? Batman's eyes were hard. The ritual to close the Black Gate requires massive, focused power. The kind of power that could also be used as a beacon. We could lure the Apocalyptian vanguard, the breakout metahumans, even the extra-dimensional leaks, to one location. Create a single, catastrophic convergence. You want to make the problem worse on purpose? I want to control the explosion, Batman said. Instead of fighting 4 fires, we stack all the dynamite in one place and see if our unkillable bomb disposal unit shows up to sit on it. Superman stared at him. The plan was insane, reckless. It gambled millions of lives. And if he doesn't show, or if he shows and loses, then we face a unified Apokolips instead of a scattered one. The result is the same, just faster. Batman held his gaze. It's the only move that accepts the real opponent isn't Darkseid or demons. It's chaos itself. And you can't fight chaos. You can only offer it a more attractive toy. Before Superman could answer, the Watchtower shuddered. Not an attack, a presence. The main viewing port, which showed the stars, rippled like water. Then it showed a different star, a sickly yellow sun over a blasted hellscape of a city. Armageddon. The image zoomed in, through walls, into the throne room where Darkseid sat, his gaze fixed on a point in space that felt like it was right here in the room. The anomaly came from your world. Darkseid's voice bypassed the audio systems, vibrating in their bones. You will surrender it, or you will be eradicated as a cancer upon reality. The transmission cut, replaced by tactical readouts. Hundreds of boom tube signatures now, moving from the Kuiper Belt toward Neptune. The invasion had been given its reason. We're out of time, Wonder Woman said. Superman looked from the retreating image of Darkseid to Batman's implacable face. He made the call. Do it. Create the convergence. Cyborg, Flash, Zatanna, you heard him. Make it happen. We'll buy you time. He shot toward the launch bay, Wonder Woman and Green Lantern at his heels. As he left, he heard Batman already issuing commands, redirecting forces, whispering to Constantine about modifying a binding ritual into a cosmic dinner bell. The place chosen was a stretch of barren desert in the middle of nowhere. Nevada. Site 773, a former government testing ground for dimensional physics, already scarred by reality. It was, as Constantine put it, pre-scarred for your convenience. Zatanna and Constantine worked in a frenzy, inscribing not circles of protection, but circles of attraction. They wove spells that screamed of raw power, of vulnerability, of a nexus point of catastrophic energy. Cyborg hacked every satellite, every news network, every villainous communication channel he could find, broadcasting one message. The ultimate power source is activating here. Now. Flash ran a perimeter at Mach 10, herding the escaped Belle Reve metas, a raging Bizarro, a magma-coated fault line, the psychic parasite Simon, toward the site, using their own greed and confusion against them. And above it all, the sky began to tear. First, a green, sickly rift, the black gate straining. Tentacles of formless chaos slapped at the air. Then, with a sound like God clearing his throat, a massive boom tube erupted in the sky above the desert. Apocalyptian dropships, like obsidian locusts, began to pour forth. Leading them, mounted on a winged nightmare, was the torturer Darkseid, sent to secure the anomaly and punish the world that spawned it. It was a perfect storm of mutually hostile apocalypses. Demons from the gate shrieked at parademons. Metahuman villains blasted at both. Darkseid, from his perch, unleashed waves of psychic torment indiscriminately. In the middle of it all, standing on a hastily erected platform, Zatanna chanted, holding the ritual together by sheer will, the beacon shining brighter into the metaphysical dark. He'd better be watching, Constantine growled, fending off a minor demon with a sigil-burned lighter. This is the most expensive dinner gong in history. Alucard was, in fact, watching from multiple perspectives. He watched Superman, a blue and red streak, plow into the lead Apokoliptian ship, tearing through its hull. He watched Wonder Woman deflect energy blasts with her bracelets. He watched a parademon get evaporated by a blast of chaos ooze from the gate. He saw it all not as a crisis, but as a menu. And he saw the beacon, that beautiful, desperate, stupid beacon of magical light they'd built in the desert, screaming, "Here is the epicenter to the universe." He understood what they'd done. They'd gathered all the toys into one sandbox. They'd made him an offer. This is the challenge. All of it, at once. A slow, appreciative smile spread across his face in a dozen locations simultaneously. "Now that," he whispered to the multiverse, "is how you get my attention." He didn't teleport. He manifested. In the heart of the desert, at the center of Zatanna's ritual, circle, the air inverted. A sphere of absolute silence and darkness appeared, sucking in sound and light. Then it burst. Alucard stood there, but not the cocky, grinning vampire they'd met. This was Alucard unleashed. His coat billowed in a non-existent wind. Shadows bled from him, not as an effect, but as an extension. A pool of darkness that spread, swallowing the sand. His eyes glowed like red suns. The psychic scream of 3 million souls vibrated in the air, a subsonic hum that made teeth ache. He looked at the battling factions, the hellish parademons, the gibbering chaos spawn, the raging metas, and then at the heroes fighting desperately at the edges. He raised his arms. Playtime. He didn't release Level 0. He became it. The shadows at his feet erupted, not into familiars, but into a tidal wave of screaming faces and clawing hands, the Legion given form. The wave hit the nearest cluster of parademons and chaos demons not as a force, but as a reality. They weren't torn apart. They were consumed, dragged into the swirling mass of souls, their shrieks adding to the chorus. Darkseid, from his flyer, unleashed a beam of Omega energy, a lesser cousin to Darkseid's own. Alucard turned, opened his mouth, and swallowed the beam. He shuddered, his form flashing transparent for a second, then solidified, grinning. Tastes like disappointment. He moved through the battlefield like a calamity. He was a singularity of violence, but a precise one. He tore the wings off Apokoliptian ships. He physically stuffed chaos tentacles back into the rift. He disarmed metahumans with humiliating efficiency, tying Bizarro's arms in a knot, freezing fault lines magma with a touch of deathly cold. He wasn't fighting to kill them all. He was fighting to win the party, to establish himself as the apex predator in this newly formed ecosystem. The heroes could only watch, holding their own fronts as the vampire did the impossible. He was winning. Single-handedly, he was pushing back the convergent Apokolips. But the cost was visible. Each time he regenerated from a major hit and Darkseid was scoring a few, it took longer. A second. 2. His laughter grew more strained, less manic, more focused. The Legion's wave grew thinner as he spent souls to fuel his power. He was being challenged. He was being tested. Superman saw it, fighting back-to-back with Wonder Woman against a squad of elite parademons. He's tiring. He's exhilarated. Wonder Woman corrected, shattering a parademon spear. Look at him. She was right. Even as he strained, Alucard's expression was one of pure, undiluted joy. He was in the moment, pushed to his limit, surrounded by worthy opponents and impossible odds. Finally, Darkseid landed his flyer, stepping onto the sand. Enough, anomaly. You will be captured and analyzed. He raised his hands, preparing a complex, soul-snaring torment. Alucard stood across, from him, chest heaving, coat torn. The other battles still raged, but a circle had formed around these two. He smiled, a bloody, tired, genuine smile. "That's the spirit," he panted. "No more mooks, just you and me. A proper boss fight." He dropped into a stance he hadn't used in a century. Not a brawler's pose, a duelist's. The final clash wasn't about beams or shadows. It was brutal, close-quarters combat. Darkseid was a master of pain, every strike carrying psychic venom. Alucard was a master of survival, taking hits that would erase memories and shaking them off through sheer, stubborn existence. It ended when Alucard, seeing an opening, didn't attack Darkseid. He turned and blasted the hovering Apokoliptian command ship with a concentrated beam of every soul he had left. The ship, caught in its own attack run, destabilized and crashed into the still bleeding rift of the Black Gate. The resulting explosion was magical, technological, and dimensional. Silent, white shockwave erased color and sound. When it cleared, the rift was sealed, fused shut by the wreckage. The remaining parademons, cut off from command, faltered. The chaos spawn were gone. The metahumans, seeing the tide turn, were swiftly contained by a speeding flash. Darkseid, scorched and furious, looked from the sealed gate to the smoking vampire. He saw no victory here, only a botched mission and a humiliating report to make. With a snarl, he activated his personal boom tube and vanished. Silence, true silence, fell over the desert. Smoke curled from craters. The beacon spell flickered and died. Alucard stood alone in the center of the devastation. He was on one knee, breathing heavily, his regeneration struggling to close a glowing wound in his side where Darkseid's final strike had landed. He looked, spent. Superman landed nearby, followed by the other Leaguers. They approached cautiously. Alucard looked up, his sunglasses gone, his red eyes meeting Superman's, blue ones. He grinned, tired but triumphant. "See?" he rasped. "I told you I'd help with your apocalypses." Then his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed forward into the sand, not disappearing, not dying. Just finally, blissfully, unconscious. The greatest challenge the DC Universe could muster had been met. And for the first time in his immortal life, Alucard had actually lost a fight. To exhaustion. The medical bay of the Watchtower was not designed for patients like him. The sensors couldn't lock onto a stable biological profile. The energy readings fluctuated between 0 and cosmic, and the bed itself seemed unsure if its occupant was truly there. Alucard lay still, the wound in his side, a pulsing dark scar of anti-life energy, slowly knitting itself shut at a glacial pace compared to his usual regeneration. He'd been out for 12 hours. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman watched from the observation deck. Zatanna and Constantine had just left after attempting and failing to accelerate the healing with magic. Darkseid's parting gift, Constantine had muttered, pointing at the wound. It's not just injury. It's a metaphysical anchor, a piece of Apokoliptian order stuck in his chaotic system. It's forcing his quantum state to localize. He's stuck being here, healing the normal way. Clever, cruel bastard. Now, the three founders watched the anomaly sleep. The immediate crises are contained, Wonder Woman reported. The Apokoliptian forces have withdrawn entirely. The magical community has reinforced the Black Gate seals tenfold. The Belle Reve escapees are back in custody with interesting new phobias of the dark. Darkseid's attention has shifted, Batman added, his eyes on the data streams. Our long-range scouts indicate he's turned his focus inward, fortifying Apokolips. He's been challenged on his own turf for the first time in eons. He's preparing for war, but not with us. Not directly. Not yet. And him? Superman asked, nodding toward the medical bay. He's vulnerable, Batman stated. For the first time since he arrived. That wound won't kill him, but it's suppressed his omnipresence. He can't phase, can't teleport. His regeneration is slowed to a fraction. For the next days, maybe weeks, he's as close to mortal as he gets. A heavy silence followed. The implication hung in the sterile air. "We have a choice," Superman said, his voice low. "The one we've been avoiding since he arrived." Wonder Woman understood first. Her warrior's heart conflicted with her diplomat's soul. "We swore not to kill. He is, at this moment, at our mercy. It would be a betrayal of that oath. He is a self-confessed mass murderer from another world," Batman countered, his tone devoid of judgment, only logic. "He is an uncontainable variable that attracts cosmic-scale conflict. His stated goal is entertainment, which in his parlance means inciting violence. He has already provoked a war with the Fourth World. Leaving him alive is a strategic risk of incalculable magnitude. He also just saved the planet," Superman said, turning from the window. "He fought our battles, not because we asked, but because we made it interesting. He kept his word. He didn't harm a single civilian. He focused entirely on the threats. And when he's healed?" Batman pressed. "When he's bored again? Do we wait for him to pick a fight with the Spectre, with the Endless? Do we let him poke the source wall to see if it giggles?" "We guide him," Wonder Woman said firmly. "As we planned. We showed him he can find challenge and purpose with us, fighting for something, even if his reasons are selfish. What he did in the desert, that was the act of a warrior. A chaotic, insane warrior, but a warrior nonetheless. There is honor in that. There is potential." Superman looked back at the sleeping vampire. The arrogant, mocking, fourth-wall-breaking monster was gone. In his place was just a being, wounded, resting. He thought of the joy on Alucard's face during the fight. Not the sadistic glee, but the pure, focused exhilaration of a true challenge. "We bring it to a vote," Superman decided. "The entire League. But not here, in the meeting room. Now." The vote was not unanimous. It was, however, decisive. An hour later, Superman stood alone in the medical bay as Alucard's eyes flickered open. They were duller than usual, the red dimmed to a smoldering amber. He looked around, taking in the sterile walls, the humming machines, his own bandaged torso. "Huh," he croaked. "Medical care, that's new. Usually I just wake up in a pile of my own ashes." "How do you feel?" Superman asked. "Like I got into a philosophical debate with a brick wall, and the brick wall won." Alucard tried to sit up, winced, and decided against it. "Darkseid cheats. That last hit had homework in it. I can feel it, like a metaphysical glue, sticking me to this spot, this body. Annoying. The magical experts say it will fade as your system overwhelms it. But it will take time." Alucard looked at him, his head tilted. "So, this is the part where you give me the speech, right? We've seen the good in you. You can be a hero, blah blah redemption, arc." He managed a weak smirk. "Save your breath, Clark. I ate the last guy who tried to redeem me. He was delicious." "This isn't about redemption," Superman said, pulling up a chair. "This is about a choice, our choice and yours." He explained the vote, the debate, the arguments for and against. He didn't sugarcoat Batman's position or the legitimate fears of others. He laid it out, plain and honest. Alucard listened, his smirk fading into an expression of genuine curiosity. When Superman finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "You voted to let me live. he said finally. I did. Why? Because you kept your word. Because in the desert you fought to protect something, even if your reason was selfish. Because I believe that a being who can choose to do good, even for the wrong reasons, is worth more than a being who is simply eliminated. Superman leaned forward. But this isn't a pardon, Alucard. It's a probation. Ooh, terms and conditions. My favorite. The Justice League cannot control you. We won't try. But we can offer you something you want. Direction. Access to the greatest challenges this universe has to offer. We will point you at the threats too dangerous, too ambiguous, or too politically fraught for us to handle openly. In return, you operate with 3 rules. Let's hear them. 1. No killing sentient beings without unanimous League authorization. That doesn't mean you can't fight. It means when you win, you incapacitate, you don't consume. 2. You do not provoke conflicts with cosmic entities, divine pantheons, or fundamental forces without consulting us first. You want to fight a god? We'll find you one that needs fighting. 3. When you are on Earth, you respect its sovereignty. You answer to us, and through us, to its people. Alucard stared at the ceiling. So, you want to make me your Black Ops? Your contingency for the contingencies? The thing you unleash when the Justice League has to keep its hands clean. We want to give you a purpose that doesn't end with you getting bored and starting the next crisis, Superman said. We're offering you a seat at the table, Alucard, but it's not the head of the table, and there are manners. A slow, real smile spread across Alucard's face. It wasn't his manic grin. It was smaller, more thoughtful. A purpose, huh? And all I have to do is play by the kiddie rules. You don't have to accept. You can walk away when you're healed. But if you do, know this. The next time your boredom leads you to pick a fight that endangers this world, we will not debate. We will oppose you with everything we have. Not to kill you, we know we can't. But to contain you, to frustrate you, to make your existence as tedious as possible. We will become the most boring, persistent, bureaucratic annoyance you have ever faced across any dimension. Alucard actually shuddered. Okay, that's just cruel. Bureaucracy is my one true weakness. He looked at Superman, the humor fading again. Integra, my master. She gave me rules, a direction. Without her, I was just drifting, a weapon in a world without war. He sighed, a sound eerily human. Fine. You've got a deal, Boy Scout. I'll be your designated catastrophe, your monster on a leash. But the second it gets boring, we'll find you a bigger monster, Superman promised, standing. He extended a hand. Alucard looked at it, then reached up and shook it. His grip was weaker than it should be, but the intent was there. Just one thing. Yes? The no-killing rule. Does it apply to Nazis? Because I have a very strict policy about Nazis. Superman almost smiled. We'll take it on a case-by-case basis. A week later, Alucard was back in his coat and sunglasses, leaning against the wall of the Watchtower's ready room. The wound was a faint silvery scar. His omnipresence was returning in flickers. The League was assembled, not in battle gear, but in a loose circle. Batman handed him a sleek, black communication device. Encrypted. Direct line to me. It has a quantum anchor so you can receive messages, wherever you are. Missions will be clear, objectives defined. You operate with autonomy, but you report in. Alucard took it, fiddling with it. Cute. Does it have games? It has a tracker, Batman said flatly. I know. I just disabled it. Took me 2 whole seconds. You should really up your firewalls, Bats. He pocketed the device, So, who's first on the hit parade? Wonder Woman stepped forward, projecting a hologram. A renegade faction of Thanagarians. They've seized a Phantom Zone projector and are holding a colony world hostage. Their leader is a zealot who believes in purification through pain. Standard League intervention would trigger a galactic incident. Deniable, immortal intervention. Alucard's eyes lit up. Bird people with a torture fetish? Oh, you shouldn't have. I'll need my guns. He patted the holsters under his coat. They're in the armory, Cyborg said. We even modified the Jackal's rounds. They're non-lethal now. Kinetic impact only. Alucard looked genuinely hurt. You neutered my baby? That's like giving a chef a spatula made of wet noodles. He sighed dramatically. Fine, fine. I'll use my scary voice instead. Superman approached him one last time. Remember the rules. No killing. No starting Ragnarok without filing Form 37B. Be home by midnight. I got it. Alucard adjusted his glasses. Don't get all emotional on me, Clark. It's a business arrangement. I scratch your apocalyptic itch, you scratch mine. He turned to leave, then paused at the doorway. He looked back at the assembled heroes, the symbols of hope, justice, and order. And he, the embodiment of chaos and death, now stood in their ranks. Not as a member, as a tool, as a partner, as a wild card they had chosen to keep in the deck. He gave them a two-fingered salute. Try not to miss me too much. And for God's sake, get better coffee in this tin can. He dissolved into shadows, this time flowing toward the Watchtower's hangar bay, to a ship that would take him to the stars and his first official mission. The League watched him go. This will backfire spectacularly, Green Lantern said. Probably, Superman admitted. But it will be interesting, Wonder Woman added, a slight smile on her face. Batman said nothing, already turning back to the monitors, planning for the next crisis, and the one after that, and the one the vampire would inevitably bring home with him. In the hangar, Alucard boarded the small stealth spacecraft. As it detached and shot toward the boom tube coordinates, he sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the infinite, Starfield. For the first time in a very, very long time, he wasn't bored. He had a job, he had rules, he had colleagues of a sort. He threw his head back and laughed, the sound echoing in the empty cabin. Integra, you bitch, he whispered to the memory of his master, a fondness in his voice he'd never admit aloud. You'd never believe the mess I've gotten myself into now. The ship vanished into the shimmering light of the boom tube, heading for a war, for a challenge, for a purpose. The No-Life King had found a new kingdom, and it was infinitely more interesting than the last one. The dust settled over the Nevada desert, but the ripples spread across the cosmos. The DC universe had absorbed its greatest anomaly not by defeating it, but by assimilating it. Alucard, the unkillable vampire from a world of gothic horror and abridged madness, was now a part of its ecosystem, a predator pointed at other predators. He would never be a hero. He would never wear their symbol or share their ideals. But in the shadowy spaces between Justice League diplomacy and outright war, he found a niche. He became the solution to problems that had no clean answers, the weapon wielded when all other weapons were too blunt or too moral. The Thanagarian zealots were humiliated, not slaughtered. A budding invasion from the fifth dimension was turned into a surreal, confusing comedy of errors. A resurrected Vandal savage found his immortal life suddenly, profoundly annoying. Darkseid watched from Apokolips, his plans recalculated to account for the new variable. Lex Luthor filed the vampire under uncontrollable assets and began designing quantum-dampening fields. The magical community established a wary, informal detente. And Alucard? he discovered that having a purpose, even one as simple as being the multiverse's designated troubleshooter, was far more entertaining than endless, directionless power. The fights were better, the stakes were real, and the look on Batman's face when he submitted an expense report for explosive sunglasses was almost worth the tedium of paperwork. The universe had not tamed the monster. It had given the monster a playground with better toys. And in doing so, it had changed the rules for everyone. Heroes now had to consider when to unleash their ultimate contingency. Villains had to fear an enemy that couldn't be killed, only annoyed. And somewhere in the infinite tapestry of realities, a thread of chaotic crimson was now woven into the fabric of a world of heroes and gods, forever altering its pattern. The balance was not restored. It was upgraded to a more dangerous, more interesting version of itself.